Have you seen the goings on at Cubs camp in Mesa? Might not be spring training just quite yet, but this is the next best thing. We're going to dive into that and much more. Happy Tuesday. It's Locked On Cubs.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is indeed Locked On Cubs. I'm your host, Andrew Bellison. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Great to have you along with us. Locked On Cubs, proudly part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every day. I want to thank you for taking the time on this Tuesday AM for making Locked On Cubs your first listen of the day. It means the world to us. Remember, we're free and available wherever you download your favorite podcast. So please check us out today. Also have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want. We can interact with each other there as well. Locked On Cubs. Find us on Twitter. Love to engage with you guys on social media. It's so much fun. I just ask, please be respectful of each other. Have fun. Share your thoughts, opinions, like I do mine. But respect that we might have differing views on certain things. At Locked On Cubs, Twitter handle for the show. At Chicago Cubs PA, Twitter handle for myself. So we visit our final two Wrigleyville spots for great stops post-game and pregame come 2022 on our list that we've been doing for about a week or so. And have you seen the Big Bopper international free agent that the Cubs might be linked to, along with a handful of other teams? But first, let's go out west to Mesa, Arizona. Let's pretend it's spring training time. It should be spring training time. I mean, we're close to that pitchers and catchers report date, but unfortunately, we're still locked out, so nothing doing there. But let's go west. Let's find the sunshine and go to Sloan Park in beautiful Mesa, Arizona, with the sun shining out over the outfield and the mountains in the distance. Have you seen what the Cubs are doing out there? This was first reported by Patrick Mooney and Sahadev Sharma of The Athletic. This is awesome, first of all. This is so cool. I think you're going to love it. They launched, the Cubs, a new off-season training program for prospects that operates essentially on a much bigger scale than is typical of other organizations. That's kind of how they're deeming or dubbing it. Though as many as 100 players have been at the Mesa facility at any one point since the season ended, the Cubs, get this is awesome. The Cubs are covering full housing, food, and other costs for around 30 of their top prospects. This has been going on since November and is going to continue through the month of February. This setup kind of offers a structured setting for targeted workouts and camaraderie amongst these guys in an otherwise locked out time. This is wonderful. Among those in this prospect camp, we'll call it, our top prospect, Brennan Davis, 2020 first rounder Ed Howard, DJ Hurst, a 2021 minor league pitcher of the year, Caleb Killian, who was just lights out in the Arizona Fall League, highly touted right-hander Cole Franklin, who's a full go after missing 2021. He was one of those shoulder injury casualties, that we discussed so much on Locked On so far. Killian was brought in via one of the many trades orchestrated by Jed Hoyer last year at the deadline when the core group went elsewhere. He's joined in Mesa by a few other of those guys, Owen Casey, Reginald Preciado, Pete Crow Armstrong from the Mets in the Javi deal, and Kevin Alcantara came over from New York in the Rizzo deal, sending him to the Yankees. We've touched on all these guys. Baseball Prospectus had all of these gentlemen in their list of top 10 Cubs prospects. These are really good talents that came back for that core haul, and now they're all in prospect camp in Mesa. So you ask, why is this all important? Well, that's a detailed answer. Carter Hawkins discussed at length when he was hired as general manager of the Chicago Cubs at the importance of organizational consistency and a plan to develop younger players and draft picks in-house better. The Cubs have had a lot of issues drafting and developing good young arms, and the ones they have developed and drafted have been oft injured the last several years, which have really set them back. Um, to that point, Brennan Davis, Cubs top prospect, says, and I quote, "It's a great atmosphere to push each other because everybody wants to be the best. The only way you can compete like that is being around guys like this. It's an awesome environment. We're going to be in a really good spot heading into spring training. I'm excited to see where our minor league system ranks after something like this. I think there's going to be a lot of breakout years." There you go. You heard it from one of those involved first. The organizational continuity that's being planted here in the offseason is something that's going to springboard this group into the 2022 season when we finally get there. This essentially enables the Cubs to foster that environment that they spoke of long before the season is even set to begin. Ingraining the idea of culture and continuity with some of their best and youngest players. It goes bottom up in the organization. Continuity from all levels and all coaches at each and every stop from rookie ball on up to Wrigley Field. Again, so what? Listen, coinciding with this, and I just touched on it briefly, we have seen so many of these Cubs young arms go down with significant injuries over the past couple of seasons. And this is another issue that at his opening press conference, Carter Hawkins said he wished to address and correct. After all, this is a dumb statement of the day, but you can't develop your young talent when they're not able to play. And these injuries not only set them back, they put them behind the eight ball and potentially derail careers. In camp, there's an increased focus on injury prevention, especially for the pitchers. So it basically entails, with this new program that they're implementing, adding strength at the right time and under the proper supervision. Then is a hallmark of this offseason program compared to what the Cubs have done the last couple of years. In other words, for this, it's not too much too soon. Let's get rolling here now and ease on in terms of strength to hopefully minimize those terrible ligament, shoulder, arm injuries that we've seen so many of these hurlers go through. On the position player side, strength-wise, it's about getting more explosive and athletic to enhance the tools that these players already have. This is a twofold kind of thing. Many young players get by on raw physical gifts and aren't essentially ready for the strenuous 162 game season in pro ball. So this is a way to address those shortcomings. It's also a matter of creating more margin for error because more dynamic players can find different ways to succeed. This is so cool to me. This not only addresses the issues that Carter Hawkins discussed in his opening press conference, but it shows the proactivity of this regime to ensure that bottom to top, top to bottom, the Chicago Cubs return to a level of respectability and build a foundation that they can continue to grow on for years and years to come. It shows innovative, forward thinking, and above all else, it shows that the promise is kept by Carter Hawkins in terms of what he spoke of back in October at his opening press conference. I love it. The organization is retooling. The major league talent is a lot better than you think. And I'm telling you, once this lockout ends, all signs point up for the Cubs. Camps like this, philosophies such as these, a big reason why. Have you guys heard about the new slugger the Cubs are supposedly linked to post-lockout? And no, I'm not talking Carlos Correa. We introduce you to him next. Before we do, I want to talk about Built Bar. If your New Year's resolution has to do with getting fit, you must incorporate Built Bar into your plan. It's easier to eat better with Built Bar because it's healthy. It tastes good like a candy bar, and it's good for you. Most Built Bars only have 130 calories, which is next to nothing, half of a normal candy bar, way less than half the sugar. Tons of protein, too. Most of them have 17 grams. If you're not a huge fan of working out, at least you can watch your diet, and incorporating Built Bar, which tastes so good and is so good for you, is an easy and delicious way to help you in 2022. Built Bar's got a special offer for you guys. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your order at built.com. Try Built Bar today. I promise you'll like it. Newest Cubs slugger on the radar. Hopefully, we meet him next. This is Locked On Cubs. Welcome back in, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you for being part of the Locked On Cubs family. You were probably part of the family before I was. I've only been here since December 1st, but I just, from the bottom of my heart, want to tell you how much fun this is every day for me to be able to talk baseball with you guys and gals and talk NL Central and talk Cubs. And unfortunately, it's been a little slow because of the lockout, but we're getting there. At any rate, thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen of the day. I know you have so many choices when it comes to podcasts, especially baseball podcasts. And the fact that you choose Locked On Cubs means the world to me. So I can't thank you enough. Please engage with us on Twitter at Locked On Cubs, at Chicago Cubs PA as well. Check us out on YouTube. Our Locked On Cubs YouTube channel launched about 6 weeks ago or so, and it's been a lot of fun there as well. So please feel free to check us out. Remember, we're free and available wherever you download your favorite podcast. So check us out today. So we talked at length about what the Cubs have been able to do before the lockout. They were busy, right? Marcus Stroman, Yan Gomes, Clint Frazier, Michael Hermosillo. They had some steam rolling when business shut down. We hope it continues here shortly after this lockout is lifted, and that would be best suited if it's sooner rather than later, of course. But in the meantime, the reports the other day were the Cubs being linked to Japanese slugger Seiya Suzuki. This is very interesting. So we've talked about the Cubs needing a little more pop in the middle of the order, preferably from the left side, but they need outfield help as well. This Suzuki is considered the best hitter since Ohtani to come over from Japan, and possibly the best outfielder since Hideki Matsui back several years ago. Other clubs have been mentioned in this same breath about showing interest in Suzuki. Those have been the Mariners, the Giants, and the Padres. No surprise there. A lot of these Japanese players do like to come and stay on the West Coast because of the proximity then towards home, which I don't blame them one bit. Also being discussed are the Red Sox. And since this story came out, they are essentially, according to the experts, the favorite to land Suzuki when the lockout is over. We don't know if that's true or not, but the word was the Cubs are and will be in on Suzuki. So what do we know about this guy? Well, here's a couple scouting reports that we were able to find. Baseball America in September said this about him. The right-handed hitter is in the midst of another outstanding NPB season with high extra base hit totals and a strong walk-to-strikeout ratio. He's a 5-time NPB All-Star who won the Central League batting title in 2019 and boasts a career line of 308, 399 on base, 534 slugging, and more than 1,000 games. We'll get into his actual physical numbers here in a second because the numbers do speak for themselves. This guy has been really, really dynamite out there. Baseball America went on to say that scouts see Suzuki as a potential average hitter once he adjusts to Major League Baseball velocity. Because remember, the pitchers don't necessarily throw as hard in Japan as they do here in America across the board. So there's always that adjustment when Japanese-born players who played pro ball there come to Major League Baseball here in America. He's got above-average game power and raw power that grades as a 70 on the 20 to 80 scouting scale. His swing is geared for damage with an uppercut bat path as opposed to the middle of the field or even inside-out hitting approaches favored by many Japanese hitters. That's an interesting point to me, and I want to dive in on that for a second. You see so many of these players that do come from Japan have that approach, especially the lefties. Ichiro was the best to ever do it, but slapping the ball the other way, seemingly halfway down the first baseline before they even make contact with the ball, right? The left-hander. I like to hear that this approach from Suzuki is a little different, a little more power-oriented, uppercut path instead of going up the middle or even inside out. That I just like to hear that in terms of being a fit for the Cubs is they need a little bit of a bopper in the middle of that lineup, and this could be the guy. Suzuki did participate in the Tokyo Olympics and ranked as the number 6 overall prospect at that event. So that's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. He was only 3 for 18 with a home run, but he did win the gold medal with Japan with it, which is a feather in his cap. Suzuki's going to stay in right field with good range and an above-average arm, fair runner who slowed a bit with age. Now, he's only 27 years old, so don't let that mislead you at all. He'll be 27, I should say. So this is another little anecdote from an anonymous scout speaking to the LA Times regarding Suzuki as well, give you a little more insight on the outfielder. And this is the quote. "He's been the best player in Japan the last few years," said the scout. Suzuki won a batting title 2 years ago when he hit 335. He smacked 25 or more homers in each of the last 5 years. He's stolen as many as 25 bases in a season. He's won 4 Gold Gloves. He can throw. His fastball touches 92 when he pitched in high school. Said this scout, he's a 5-tool guy. I can't help but get excited about the possibility of a player like this playing at Wrigley Field. I'm going to be honest. A lot of times there's so much hype, and when there's that much hype around a player, they don't live up to the expectation. And that could be said about Kosuke Fukudome, for instance, or a handful of others, wherever they may be from. That I don't know, fan pressure makes anything they do not look as good as what we all expected. So I don't want to get ahead of myself here, because there's a good chance that he's going to be playing Major League Baseball for another club anyways. But when you take a look at the raw numbers, this guy turned professional at the age of 18 back in 2013. So he's been 9 years pro in Japan. That's incredible. And we talked about the home runs, but if you go back from 2021, now keep in mind, these are smaller game samples as well because their season is shorter. He's played 129, 118, 140, 125, and 115 games since going back to 2017. So you're looking at 120s, 130s now, which is a twofold kind of thing. It's less of a grind on the body, but less of a chance to put up some big numbers. And even in those smaller game samples compared to what he would have likely here in America, tons of home runs. 38 last year, 25 the year before, 28 the year before that, 31 in 2018. And look at the ribbies going from 2016 on to last year. 95, 90, 96, 87, 75, 87. 25 plus doubles every year. And how about these averages? 329, 300, 321, 335, 300, 321. OPS of over 1,000 last year, over 1,000 in 2018, over 1,000 in 2019. I mean, this guy's probably the best hitter in Japan. So the fact that he's coming here to the States as a 27-year-old in the prime of his career has to excite the heck out of us Cubs fans, given that they were mentioned as possible suitors. So what? The guy can hit the ball. He's been great in Japan. Well, listen, this is a kill 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. You're getting a player as talented as he is, who has so much professional experience in the prime of his career. You need outfield talent if you're the Cubs. Well, here's some outfield talent. And you need a player that's going to hit in the middle of your order with power. This guy's going to hit in the middle of your order with power, as he has, as they said, a very uppercut, power-driven approach at the plate. Here's the other good thing about this. You're not losing any draft pick compensation if you decide to make a run at Suzuki and target the talented right-hander. It's money only. So I mean, that's a plus as well. Again, I'll wait and see because of the lockout, which is very frustrating and unfortunate, but this is such an intriguing storyline. This is a very, very accomplished professional player. So keep your eye on Suzuki. Red Sox apparently now named as the favorite, but still too early to tell. Again, no negotiations regarding him until this lockout is over. So hopefully good things to come for the Cubs on that regard. I'm Andrew Bellison. This is Locked On Cubs. I want to thank you for being along with us today. Maybe if Suzuki lands on the north side, he'll check out Byron's Hot Dogs before a game next year. We revisit and visit again some of our favorite Wrigleyville haunts for the final day here coming up in a moment. Before we get there, want to say that BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. It's a new year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's right, 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Take advantage. Use promo code LOCKEDON to get started today. From football, baseball, basketball, hockey, boxing, UFC, you get the drill, all down to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers BetOnline has for you in 2022. BetOnline, where the game starts. Locked On Cubs continues in a moment. Welcome back in. Happy Tuesday. Locked On Cubs, Andrew Bellison. Such a great day to be with you. Thank you for letting me be part of the Locked On Cubs family, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are dedicated to Chicago Cubs baseball every day, all Cubs, all the time. And it's great to have you along with me here today. So we've been touring Wrigleyville and picking out some of our favorite spots to stop pregame, postgame for a bite to eat, maybe for a drink as well. So many great choices, whether there's a game or not. Well, we've finally made it down to our last two. And maybe you've been to some of these, maybe not. But how about the Nisei Lounge? Why do we love thee? Well, let us count the ways. First of all, a very no-frills dive just off Wrigleyville's main drag that's packed with character and characters that also happens to be the neighborhood's eldest bar, which is pretty cool. 2, you can play pool. You can play darts. Play, don't play, nobody really cares. You can also have shots of Malort, which, of course, is a Chicago staple. And if you have any visitors with you not from the area, please treat them to a shot of Malort. They will not thank you later. Also, they have the Chicago Handshake, which is a shot of Malort and a can of Old Style. It doesn't get any more Cub than that. Nisei Lounge, great spot before or after a game. If you haven't, please check it out. Now, Chicago deep dish pizza, right? Chicago hot dogs, right? Byron's Hot Dogs has accolades ranging from the most authentic Chicago hot dog to the best cheap food in all of Lakeview to the best cheap lunch in Chicago. The list goes on. This tiny little stand is on Irving Park Road. It's essentially ground zero for bona fide garden drag Chicago dog action. And if you are from here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not, get here, try a Chicago hot dog, try Byron's. Famous for its combo meals. You get a couple dogs, drink, fries for under $10. So stop in before a game. It's not going to kill your pocket. You got to get it Chicago style. Mustard, relish, onion, pickle, sport pepper, tomato. The key, celery salt is the key. Byron's hot dogs, Chicago dogs, as good as it gets. Thank you for being with us today. Hope you have a great Tuesday. Hope you are looking forward to the start of spring training when we get there. We have an awesome guest later in the week. It's Brett Taylor of Bleacher Nation. We're going to talk Cubs prospects. We're going to talk what they've done so far. We're going to see what Brett would do if we gave him the keys to the Cubs front office and let him pilot the ship post-lockout. What other work needs to be done? Again, thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen here this morning. We ask that you make Locked On Bets your second. Great gambling insight. Expert analysis from Lee Sterling. Check out Locked On Bets. We think you'll enjoy it. At Chicago Cubs PA, at Locked On Cubs, this has been Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Have a great Tuesday, everybody.